So for Monday's assignment, I just want you to work on the cover of your flip book, which is just the title page, and it kind of gives you the main idea for the week, which is that matter takes up space, has mass, and is made of particles too small to be seen. And I also want you to work on page 2 of your flip book, which talks about the 3 states of matter that we've learned about: solids, liquids, and gases. Okay? So I'm going to use my note-taking sheet to just make a few notes about the vocabulary words on the cover. Now remember, I told you that color helps your brain kind of categorize information. Think of your brain as having like file folders in it. And information that goes together kind of gets grouped into these file folders. So I'm going to just highlight these important vocabulary words with my green colored pencil, and then we're going to talk about those words. So matter takes up space, has mass, and is made of particles too small to be seen. Matter is like the big idea that we're talking about this week. When matter is made up of a pure substance and it's only one type of atom, it's called an element. So elements are a pure substance that cannot be broken down into more than one type of substance. So when we talk about matter, we're talking about everything from the tiniest atoms that are a pure substance and only one type of atom, those are our elements, all the way up to the most complicated, complex, biggest types of matter that you could imagine. It's literally everything that takes up space and has mass. So even elements that are so tiny still have mass, density, and all of those different properties of matter that we're talking about, just on a very tiny scale. Okay? So examples of elements are things like nitrogen, carbon, helium, the things that you would find on your periodic table of elements. Okay? And those are one type of matter. Now, when we talk about mass, that's a way of measuring how much matter is in something. Remember last week we learned that mass is different from weight, because the mass that is in something will never change no matter where it is, whereas weight is a way of measuring the effect of gravity on something, and gravity, as we know, changes depending on where you are. So if we go to the moon or different planets, your weight might change because the gravity of those places is different, but your mass will never change. The amount of matter that is something is its mass. Okay, on page 2 of our flip book, we learn that there are 3 states of matter: a solid, a liquid, or a gas. And the properties of solids, liquids, and gases are determined by the behavior of the atoms and molecules in the substance. So I'm going to write that down because that's important. So the behavior of a solid, liquid, or gas is determined by, or the properties of a solid, liquid, or gas is determined by the behavior of the atoms it's composed of. In a solid, the atoms are tightly packed together, and this causes the substance to have its solid property. The atoms are so tightly packed together that they can't move past each other, and so they have a fixed volume and a fixed shape. If you're doing this work on Kami, you would simply insert a text box onto this part of your flip book and type in there that solids have a fixed volume and fixed shape. And that the atoms in a solid are so tightly packed together that there's very little movement of the atoms. Whereas in a liquid, the atoms are not as tightly packed together. They have a little bit more space, and so they are able to slip and slide past each other. The movement of the atoms slipping and sliding past each other causes the liquid to take the shape of any container it's placed in. Liquids take the shape of their container. Okay, now with a gas does not have a fixed shape or volume, and the atoms are moving at high speeds, and they're moving fairly freely and fairly quickly. Atoms move freely and quickly. Do not have a, oh gosh, I'm running out of space. I hate this. Do not have a, and our continue on the back. Fixed volume or shape. Now, most gases are invisible. So when scientists test the properties of gas, they have to find other ways to test their properties besides just observing what's happening visually. So that's like why when we did that experiment with the baking soda and the vinegar, we had to find a way to see the volume of the carbon dioxide that was released using the balloon, because we wouldn't be able to see the gas carbon dioxide. It is invisible. Okay, some examples of gases include oxygen, helium, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and carbon monoxide, which is a poisonous gas to people. So those are gases that are invisible. You cannot see them. Helium, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen, and oxygen. Those are all gases. Okay, now, our next page that we're going to take notes on tomorrow is about the physical properties of matter. So stay tuned for more note-taking tomorrow.